Good morning, everybody. This is Investing Bros.
This morning, we had initial jobless claims. It was at 230,000. We had a consensus of 235,000 and 234,000 was going to be the forecast. ISM manufacturing PMI, that's going to be coming in right at the end of the show today. So we'll see what that comes in at. Was at 47.1 previously, and that's projected to be about neutral. Jumping into tomorrow, though, we're going to have our unemployment rate. Again, guys, 3.4 is what we are at right now. Consensus is that unemployment is going up. Non-farm payrolls tomorrow, and it looks like the non-farm payrolls is going to be way down. So a little bit of tightening there on the belt from the payroll side. And why that says non-farm, that means it's all paid labor sectors except for farming, because farming is seasonal. So watch tomorrow morning, unemployment rate, non-farm payrolls. That's going to be the big things that we have for the rest of the week. Trueflation coming in neutral. Yesterday, remember, we were up just a little bit, 0.06%. Today, we're neutral, still sitting 2% below what the government is reporting on the inflation rate.
72% are now saying that it's going to be a pause. We're going to stay put at 5 to 525. And this is where I'm a little curious about what's going on here. My speculation was maybe they're predicting that we weren't going to reach a deal for the debt ceiling and that America was going to go bankrupt. I don't know. But remember, I told you guys, like, if they raise the debt ceiling and print more money and raise interest rates, that's just literally stealing from the poor. That's literally just saying, hey, let's keep the big cats happy while we steal money from poor people. But the fact that we just got the announcement yesterday, and we're talking more about this in a second, but the fact that we just got the announcement that the debt ceiling was passed by Congress, now it's heading to Senate, so it's pretty highly likely they're going to go ahead and raise the debt ceiling. But the good news at this point is that instead of us looking like we're going to get another 25 basis point rate hike, now the fact that we're looking more like a pause, we still got 2 weeks until something happens, but that should be bullish for crypto, because I do believe this was baked in, that we would get to 525 and then stop. First of all, before we get into this, shout out to Chart Prime. Again, you guys are seeing us using their indicators for everything. You guys will notice if you missed the show yesterday, you might be like, Tim, what the heck is this new oscillator down here? Well, this is a free oscillator that you get. You don't even have to buy Chart Prime. You can just go in, look up RSI Prime. You can type in Chart Prime and find it. And this replaces the RSI, but it uses candles instead of a straight line, which actually helps you see formations and patterns better. To me, this makes RSI more supreme. We almost hit the levels we talked about yesterday perfectly. And we had a wick that went through, but we ended up bouncing almost perfectly right here at this golden pocket. I did believe the golden pocket would be a good level of support. If you guys are looking at our RSI and at our Chart Prime oscillators, you will see on the 4-hour chart, we do have a green reversal flash here. And you also can see we got below the 30 here with the RSI. And again, those candles, it's balancing out right here. What I would love to see is an engulfing candle of some kind or a massive green candle right here to confirm. However, we're seeing oversold territory on the 4-hour chart. On the daily chart, the most recent flash we actually just had was a bearish divergence with a red triangle. So it's not necessarily the end of the world. What I'm saying, though, is keep your eyes on that. I do believe that people are going to look at this bearish divergence and say, oh, that means Bitcoin has to go down. But that's why you want to look at multiple time frames. You want to be able to come down and look at the 4-hour, look at the hour, and see the bullish things that are going on as well. Dixie has been rallying still. Back up here, we got as high. The wick here on Dixie is about 104.23. This is a little higher than I originally suspected. You guys know, watching the show back a little bit ago, I actually said there's a decent chance that the Dixie gets up to about 103. I thought it was going to reject here on the daily dynamic reactor. It did not. Similar to Bitcoin, we're getting some overbought flashes here on the Dixie as well. And this is the daily chart, but you even have them over here on the 4-hour. If that debt ceiling bill passes the Senate, watch for Dixie start to fall pretty harshly.
Looking at Ethereum on a 4-hour right now, guys, you can see that we are still fighting with this breaker block. I told you guys yesterday that these are typically when you get an order block that has had the liquidity drained out of it, this becomes, if you will, a zombie order block, and it's called a breaker block. So, you know, it's still alive, still capable of doing things, but not as strong and as lively as it was before. It is right now holding pretty good as resistance. Currently, we are below the trade band of the predictive ranges here. That's what this gold line is right there. And just, we have a lot of resistance above us. You can see right here that we do have the red line on the trend assistant, and it is fighting to keep us down. I'm not feeling that this is looking overly bullish right now with the resistance that we have, but I do have some hopium for you, because right down here on the oscillator, we are starting to get the ribbon pinch right there. You know what that typically means? We're going to run up through this cloud, and this could be the breakthrough to get back through all this. If we can get this push here and the push off the RSI, money flow to come back in, break through all this stuff, I would be looking for the prime ranges up here to be the next target back at 1958.
Debt ceiling bill has passed in the House, and it is now advancing to the Senate just days ahead of the default deadline. So that's the big ceiling there, the debt ceiling story. And we'll get into no other details other than just the vote count, which is 165 Dems voted yes, and only 149 Republicans voted yes on this debt ceiling bill. So obviously, Democrats want the country to prosper more than the Republicans, I guess is what it,
That's
what it
factual,
seems
yeah.
like there. Bigger story here is Elizabeth Warren highlights crypto's role in the fentanyl trade and plans to combat with bill. All right, so let's see what she has to say here. Crypto is supposedly banned in China. This is her quote. But more than 90 companies based in China are raking in tens of millions of dollars worth of crypto by selling these fentanyl precursors, so the ingredients that go into fentanyl. Warren said that in response to the latest findings, she and Senator Roger Marshall will reintroduce their Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act, a bill that aims to close loopholes that allow participants in the drug trade to make use of cryptocurrency. So, yeah, some big news there on the regulation front. She is a senator. She does have power, but oftentimes we've seen her bark is a little bigger than her bite. IRS can access Coinbase user trading data, court rules. A U.S. federal court has ruled that the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, maybe you've heard of them, is within its right to access Coinbase user data in a case which sought to block the tax agency on constitutional grounds. Harper, who maintains his innocence, is the defendant in this. Harper, actually, he's not, because he's had to sue the IRS, but we'll get into those details. Harper, who maintains his innocence, had previously attempted to argue that such a request for his internal Coinbase trading records violated his Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. Coinbase was reportedly forced to hand over some of its largest users' information, including Harper's, following a separate summons against the Delaware Registered Exchange a year later. The IRS alleged Harper had failed to adequately declare his crypto trades in 2013 and 14, prompting action from the agency against him and others. So this is a pretty big story. It's got a lot of potential to set precedent. What I will point out from the onset is if you're accurately reporting your crypto taxes, your crypto earnings, your capital gains, this isn't something that you should fear. But this does absolutely have mega ramifications. But Piper, I want to throw it over to you first. Is there anything in that Elizabeth Warren story, kind of drawing the line, connecting the dots between fentanyl and cryptocurrency? Is there anything in that you see some flaws in at all?
Yeah, common sense and understanding of how the intelligence world works. You said she's a senator and she has some power, and my brain went, yeah, and she has two brain cells that don't talk to each other. So, in the intel world, guide, just for you guys know, my job in the Army was an intelligence analyst, and one of the jobs that I did for quite a few years of it was counter drug threat finance. So I would make myself a subject matter expert on this topic, and that she needs to stay in her lane, which is lobbyist. I want to show you guys what we use. It's called M2, and it's a link analysis tool that we use to track networks within the counter drug. And I know this is chaos, but if I was on this as my system, I would be able to actually zoom in on this, and there would be files attached and all kinds of stuff in here. And what all of these are entities that we're tracking, whether it be a person or whether it be an asset, a source for information, a bank account, crypto wallets. In the threat finance world, we would rather them use a crypto wallet than to use off-ramping of cash. And the reason for that is because, say, for example, this network over here is the makers of the product, right? And then over here, you've got the ones that are the movers of the product or the sellers of the product, whatever. And this box here sitting in the middle is the crypto wallet, right? Whatever it might be. We would be able to just sit and monitor this and know when they are moving product to the sellers, because we would see the money hit here first and we'd be able to monitor it. But let's say that this was an off ramp to a bank where it goes into cash, and now these guys over here use this to off ramp to cash. We have no idea which node it's going to anywhere on this network, because now it's in cash. We would much rather it be in crypto on a wallet, easier to track, easier to trace. If it goes to cash, then we have a problem. She thinks that she's doing this for national security, but she's actually hurting the intelligence community to be able to do their job in the easiest way to do it. She needs to stay in her lane, because at the end of the day, she's actually hurting national security by allowing the biggest money laundering and narco terrorism funding asset, the US dollar, to be prominent again and off of crypto. Just needs to shut her mouth, go back to your hole, listen to your lobbyist, and make your $140,000 a year paycheck into a multi-million empire.
She definitely seems to be pretty wealthy, despite just having kind of that standard senator income. Yeah, no, I think that's a really, really interesting insight into kind of the confluence, if you will, of trying to track data in the illicit world. Well, Tim, I want to throw it over to you. Do you think that Elizabeth Warren is serious about trying to actually crack down on cryptocurrency, or do you think that she's doing this to distract, to deflect, or do you think that there's something else going on with this headline?
There's one thing that Piper said, because as great of a take as that was, there's one thing Piper said that I disagree with. And of course, it was the thing he was joking about. It was when he said that she has 2 brain cells. Elizabeth Warren has many brain cells. And let me paint to you why she has many brain cells. She realizes that if crypto has its way, she's done. She realizes that if crypto comes in and becomes actual currency used instead of, and starts to threaten the US dollar, she is no longer going to be a politician. She's no longer going to be able to collect that money from the people. The take that she gave yesterday, saying that crypto is to blame for fentanyl, and that if we get rid of crypto, we can get rid of fentanyl, is so dumb. It makes you have to wonder, this is so dumb, money has to be involved. That being said, I'm not actually going to accuse Elizabeth Warren of being stupid. I think she's smart, and she's a preservist. She's going to preserve her career. She's going to preserve her money. And that's the exact reason why she needs to be voted out of office. The only way to salvage keeping crypto bipartisan is to vote out people like Elizabeth Warren. Do not let her win. Make it very clear that she is not the candidate you want representing, and then find others that you do support.
Wow, you made it to the end of the video. Great job. Now, if you want more content like this, whether it be TA on Bitcoin and Ethereum or altcoins, or you just want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest news in crypto, then stay tuned and tune in to our 9 a.m. live show every single weekday morning. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you tune in live, use the keyword grip strength in the chat, and you'll get a special shout out from anyone who's paying attention to the chat. Love to see you there.